Welcome to another Top 5 Tuesday, and to honor 1 year since I did Top 5 Studio Ghibli films, I decided to do Top 5 films to watch if you love Studio Ghibli. I was thinking about doing a Top 5 underrated Ghibli films, but most of their films are generally beloved, and it would mostly be me talking about how fantastic The Cat Returns is. With that said, let's get right into it. Before getting into the top 5, there's a couple honorable mentions I'd like to bring up. Peach Dragon, April in the Extraordinary World, Barefoot Gen, and Over the Garden Wall, I think all could have been on this list. And I think the works of Marumo Hosada, Makoto Shinkai, and Satoshi Kon could have been brought up, but their films kind of have their own unique feel to them. With that said, let's get right into it to number 5.
We needed a miracle.
For the first film to actually make the list, I went with Bong Joon-ho's Okja. I think it's difficult to compare it to one specific Studio Ghibli film, but if I had to make a comparison, I'd describe it as a tamer Nausicaa set in a more realistic world. I don't think Okja is perfect, but it gets so close to capturing the same energy of a Studio Ghibli film, which few live-action films are able to do. Additionally, Bong is getting a lot of love for his recent films, and I feel like this kind of gets lost in the shuffle of Snowpiercer and Parasite. If you haven't seen Okja, it's available on Netflix and definitely worth your time.
The big bad bear sleeps. And?
For number 4, I wanted to pick a cute film. So of course, I went with Ernest and Celestine. This film comes to us from Abier and Patar, who are the same two behind the incredible A Town Called Panic. Ernest and Celestine takes that same zaniness they built from there and blends it with the important message about not judging people. This film captures the same joy of a Totoro or Ponyo with some added messaging that definitely doesn't feel forced. It's a joyous experience that most will love, and it's available on Amazon Prime if you want to check it out. Coming in at number 3, I have Night is Short, Walk On Girl, and it's one of the best animated films there is of the 2010s. It comes to us from Masaki Yuasa, and is a spiritual sequel to Tatami Galaxy. This definitely has a completely different vibe than many of the Studio Ghibli films, but I think it captures that same chaotic animation of something like The Cat Returns, and really embraces a fantastical world and what that can be, like Spirited Away. The visuals are astounding all the way through, and the writing is top notch. Maybe it's not too related to Studio Ghibli and I possibly put it on here so I could recommend it again, but that's for you to figure out, so have fun watching.
Where you go with a head like that?
While I do love the darkness of certain Studio Ghibli films, I didn't grow up with that when it would have been my first exposure to fantasy with darker tones. A film that I did grow up with is Jim Henson's Labyrinth. Legendary filmmaker Jim Henson was mostly known for his work with The Muppets and Sesame Street. Labyrinth and Dark Crystal were definitely a different vision from his team. Labyrinth is a film that I grew up with that spooked me very hard when I was little. Yes, it does have a bunch of bright spots with songs, but the tonal shifts kept me remembering this when it does switch to that darkness. I was tempted to put Don Bluth's Secret of NIMH, however I remembered the Bowie Bulge. Case in point, this movie rules.
Victoria, for your hand in marriage, I'd cross oceans or continents.
You're funny, Tristan.
I will go down to my grave defending Stardust as one of the best films of the 2000s. Matthew Vaughn's fantasy adventure is such an interesting film given Vaughn's catalog and the partnership with Guy Ritchie. This genre is one that has sort of been lost over the years, but Stardust attempted to revive that same fun and campiness that I've come to love. If I had to compare it to something, for me it would be if Princess Bride and Castle in the Sky mixed in a blender and somehow it ended up being a perfect combination. It has this grand adventure of something like Porco Rosso that I walk away from having a great experience. It has the typical characters that you've come to expect from this genre, but it never takes itself too seriously. This film understands exactly what it wants to be and executes that perfectly. While it isn't for everyone, I definitely think Stardust is able to capture the spirit and heart of a Studio Ghibli film. It's on Netflix, so definitely go check it out. It's one of my favorites, and maybe it'll be yours, or maybe you'll watch it and be confused why I put it at number 1. It's up for you to decide. Anyway, that's going to do it for this top 5 of films to check out if you love Studio Ghibli. Let me know how I did. Maybe you didn't like some of these picks. Maybe there's something that you thought I should have brought up, or maybe something should have been higher. Let me know down below, and make sure to stick around for the Foreign Film Friday this week that is going to be on a Studio Ghibli film. And again, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more of these videos in the future. Thanks!